Waretown. It is May 7th, and this is a rally with several anti-nuclear groups protesting the Oyster Creek plant. They'd like to see it shut down. That woman is from the Asbury Park Press, covering the story. Don't Fukushima with us. This city is protesting the nuclear plant. We've got some people over here. What do their signs say? Media people.
Not one, but 3 cars.
Big deals.
Yeah. Were you there when their man claimed to be the owner of this property?
Yes.
Okay. Don't know if he really is. There's Dennis Zannoni. He's doing.
Because remember, when I was hired, I was the first nuclear engineer hired, and I never expected to stay long. They wanted to come in with some expertise to kind of start to figure out what was going inside the plant. You know, I mean, you could always do environmental monitoring, right? And emergency preparedness, but they didn't understand what was happening inside, what the NRC was doing, not doing. That's why I came in. I came in as an independent.
Physically inside, or
yeah, no. When they hired me, they said, Dennis, you can do whatever you want to start to explore the safety issues. Talking about detail. You know?
Oh, you fool! You took them literally. You took them at their word.
Again, it backfired because they didn't realize I would do such a good job. You know, I mean, Lisa Jackson was giving the marching orders. You know, shut him up, and I was like too naive to realize, well, you don't do that in America.
When were you removed as resident site inspector?
Well, I was in charge of all the power plants in the state.
Oh, okay.
January 31. I mean, there's a lot more than just removing me. It's not just inspector. I was in charge of the 4 nukes. And they relied upon me to tell them whether or not these plants were safe or not. You know, that was my job.
Oh, what year was that?
It happened, I was removed January 30th, 2007.
So what do you do now?
I work in the agreement state program at DEP. Well, I tried to get another job, but you have to realize when all the press that came out, the perception is now I'm like untouchable. You can only work in 3 areas, really. The nuclear power plant industry, the NRC, right? Or maybe some state job.
Yeah.
Now the NRC and the nuclear industry aren't going to touch me, and they pretty much said that, you know, behind closed doors, because number one, I'm perceived as as an anti-nuclear kind of radical, and I kept telling the same story. I was just trying to tell my my story. See, to me, where they broke the law, and this is what it comes down to, is when they have me do a job. Is Oyster Creek safe or nothing, right? I spent 5 years reviewing the license renewal. That's that process. It says whether or not Oyster Creek can continue to operate for another 20 years, right? I'm wrapping up my results. Corzine goes from anti-Oyster Creek. This is about November. Prior to November of 2006, he was pretty much, and this is in the papers. He addressed the APP, Asbury Park Press Board, and said it doesn't make common sense for that plant to continue to operate. And all of a sudden, I found out there was a meeting between him and Exelon that occurred after that period. And then I sensed in my gut, because I'm pretty smart and astute, that they were trying to, I slowly, meetings I would go to, they said don't go to them anymore. Things I was doing, they were saying don't do them anymore. You know, so I knew that something had changed. Vorzein's position had changed because he actually, he struck a deal with I don't know the details, but he struck a deal with Exelon in that time frame to let, you know, there was some deal. Kind of like the Christie deal, maybe, I don't know the specifics, maybe operate the plant for another 7 to 10 years, whatever that was, and he'll leave them alone. But in the meantime, this is where they broke the law. Dennis, what was the result of your 5 years of intense investigation of the safety of Oyster Creek? No. What they did was they put me in a room, no phone, no computer and anything, and they just said, shut up. And Nancy Wittenberg said, if you go public, I will fire you. Now she's head of the Pinelands Commission, so go figure. And I was just like, what am I going to do? You know, so I went public. I went public, not because I knew I'd probably be fired, but I went public because, you know, I think I'm a moral person. It was the right thing to do. I haven't benefited at all from any of this.
You wanted to serve the public.
Well, I was a public servant. I'm a pretty good one, you know. And this was nuclear. This is not like, you know, snakes or turtles in some park or whatever. I mean, this is a pretty big issue. So.
Did anyone ever inspect the dry well liner? Like, do we know what condition that's in now, or are they planning to look at it?
Currently, I mean, I've been out of the picture for a while, but when I was there, that dry well had cracks in it because they had in leakage of tritium, which is okay, you know, because of the pressure, it's going to move in. They knew before the license renewal that they had tritium problem on site. I mean, that's a fact. I have witnesses, I have documents. It'll be part of the federal case, so I'm not really worried about that. What bothers me is that I know Exelon used that to postpone. You know, if they came out with that before their approval for license renewal, for sure it would have been delayed, for sure. So the deal there was just keep it on the down low. Now, I mean, my position is I have 4 years of collective witnesses, evidence. I mean, it's going to be a big deal if I file the federal case and win. It's very expensive, and it would be filed in federal court right across NJDEP, which I would look forward to doing. Actually, there's a federal courthouse right there. There's attorneys call me all the time about taking on this case because it has a lot of, it's got nuclear, it's got Lisa Jackson, it's got Vorzine in it. You know, it's a hot potato.
What was the case?
Yeah, it's also got like a whistleblower.
Yeah, like it's David and Goliath. You know, it's got a lot of good stuff. I mean, you know, and this, I don't have any money as far as to fight back, but I do have the power of the pen, which I've written a lot on, and I have truth. I mean. There's nothing that I've said in the last 4 years that has changed. You know, the story, the everything. So truth is really on my side. And I have absolutely no doubt about that. And I would debate anybody. Even the NRC won't even. They wouldn't debate me at all either because they know.
So what do you think it'll take to close this plant ahead of their schedule?
Well, let's look at the good side. The good side is it's not going to operate another 20 years. So. Even though I have a personal fight with Vorzine over what he did or didn't do, the day he left office, I believe, at least he said, they need a cooling tower. And Vorzine knew politically that if he said that and he signed that document on the day he left, that it would put a limit on the number of years Oyster Creek would operate. That's a fact. I know that as I'm standing here. Whether it was 8 years, 10 years, who knew? So that was a good thing that he did. He reduced the time. So we look at that, I look at that as far as a big picture too, and I think that has impact across the country because that lessening of the time raises the lessening of the time for Indian Point, other plants in the Northeast where the population's high and these plants shouldn't really operate beyond 40 years. So that's a good thing. So I look at the good. You look at Oyster Creek today, yeah, it should be closed down, and it's going to take, it may take another 5 years to close it down. Christie's sure not going to close it down, I don't think, in light of Japan, but hey, he's the governor, you know, he makes the call. I can only do what I did, and that was, it's got problems. And either spend money to fix them or close it down. And he's never even heard that story. No one in 4 years has heard the 5 years of research that I did on Oyster Creek. And I can't really tell it because, you know, you go through all these attorney things. I'm in a hearing, that's not the venue. They say use the car. You misused the car, so that you spend 3-4 years trying to get through that. The state's a very, they got deep pockets and they're very mean when they want to be. I mean, I felt it firsthand. I tell you, I lost both my parents, I lost my career. I could never work as a nuclear engineer again because nobody's going to touch me. And in addition to that, my wife, who's disabled, right, said if you go public, she goes, it's going to really bring a problem to our relationship because she was afraid of me losing medical benefits, And I said, I got to do what I got to do, And then she left me, so you got that. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what can happen if you just do your job and try to tell the truth.
What's going to happen with the spent fuel rods once they leave?
Well, if you live in this area, they're going to be around here for maybe 60, 70 years. So
why is that allowed to happen?
I think that's what we're here for. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission allows it. It's a funny thing about the spent fuel pools. The spent fuel pools were never designed to be anything but you remove them from the core, you put them in the spent fuel pool, they cool down a little bit, then you send them away, right? A lot of people don't know, including you, that the DOE owns title to the spent fuel. One of the reasons nuclear power came to be was because the DOE stepped in. Nobody would take the spent fuel. The industry says, I don't want it, right? So DOE says, it's ours, we'll take title to it. That's why the DOE is responsible for the ultimate the ultimate storage location of it. So going back to that, so when they built these plants, this is the same design as the four that had a problem in Japan, Oyster Creek and the four. So the spent fuel pool top is the same. It's corrugated steel. And I was with military people who said in 5 minutes you can penetrate that top and the spent fuel pool would be a problem.
But isn't that in a sense the same as a Superfund site? They're going to
you're going to have it. Look, the NRC's recently, in fact, Exelon chairman said he's not even going to decommission this site if it shuts down. He's going to let it sit there. By law, he can let it sit there for 60 years. See, it's insanity, but getting back to the spent fuel pool, it was never designed, okay, to be a permanent storage location. Where they put the casks, have you ever seen those concrete vaults and stuff? They're designed they're pretty hefty. There's only one thing that can beat them, and that's a shaped charge. I'm also kind of very knowledgeable in security of nuclear facilities, but anyway, a shaped charge, but that's going to be tough. The spent fuel pool will be loaded like in Japan, as is, for at least 60 years. So you guys are the guardians of that. Whoever lives in Lacey, that's what you got.
At risk.
Yeah, that's what you got.
Can't they force Exelon to take that with them when they leave?
If you read my articles, one of them closed with, close the site, let DOE take the material that they own. They own it. DOE owns that spent fuel, which is amazing. That's the only way that like I said, the industry first bought into nuclear power because of that. Nobody's going to take the jump on their own. In fact, Oyster Creek was a combination of government money, right? Local. It was experimental. It was, if you go back and look at the records, Oyster Creek was an experimental commercial nuclear reactor. And if you look at the history of it, over like 41 years, its ability to generate electricity has only been about 50%. So think about that. So it's operated for 40, it produced electricity for 20 years, all right? That's experimental. They learned from that in further design. So I'm a scientist. I'd say, okay, the experiment is over. Let's move on. The reason it's still operating, because I think the revenue is about $120, $130 million a year. Clean money. That's why it's still there. That's it. This is not a difficult story, This is, and how to close it, it's really up to the people. I think common sense wins out, because if you look at the common sense of, I think.
How many residents of Lacey are in this group? How many residents of Lacey?
I live on planet Earth, and planet Earth is taking a big hit.
Anybody from Lacey in this group?
I'm within 30 miles of...
Is this group going to help compensate Lacey Township for any loss in taxes? Is this group going to contribute to that?
Of course not.
Yeah, we're
What's
gonna
that?
help you.
Okay, let me ask you
We're
another
gonna
question.
help you keep your property.
Another question.
If there's
All
a
the
problem,
people that are going to lose their jobs at the plant, is this group going to contribute anything toward their families or make them whole?
Absolutely.
we'll offer them a job in the solar industry.
Well, all of us are Americans.
I mean, you personally, while they're out of work, you personally are going to contribute to their welfare.
Yeah, we'll
Through our
help them.
taxes. Through my taxes, any benefits they need, any retraining they need will come from the revenue, from the taxes.
I mean, pay them directly.
No, and you aren't
Pay
either,
them
are you?
directly.
You're not going to do that either, are you? You're a resident of Lacey.
It's
Would you do
because
that?
I want them to keep their jobs.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do
You
that
know
if
the
they
trouble
lost
with
their
you
job.
people
They
is
can get a better
you
job
don't
in this.
care. You don't care about people. You think you do, but you really don't care about people.
They can get a safer job in the solar industry.
With the tritium and you care about people? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Is there a problem with tritium? No.
Yes, there is.
No, there isn't.
Did you know you have the highest cancer
there
rate? You have the highest cancer rate in Ocean County.
They won't pay for anything.
You're not going to lose jobs. It's just people are dinosaurs that want to promote a dinosaur and keep a dinosaur going. We are a nation of technology, and yet when it comes to stuff like this, no electric cars because it's not feasible. Nuclear plants, oh well, that's the wave of the future, and it's not. It's a dinosaur. The technology is gone from this facility, and it should be buried along with the black and white television set. They should be changed over to the environmentally friendly energy that's with us in wind and solar. And it's like I said so many times before. The Wright brothers flew a plane off of Kitty Hawk in 1906, and 60 years later we went to the moon. We can't do something better with solar and wind capability.
This is how we boil water.
And this is how we boil water.
Yeah. We should be walking on all fours. If we believe in this plant, you should be walking around on all fours.
What is your name?
Hi, my name's Richard Fuller, and I'm here today to protest the continued power plant over here, nuclear power plant at Oyster Creek. I think the general public should be made more aware of the dangers involved. Years ago, these power plants already had 77,000 tons of nuclear waste that were not able to be stored in any safe place in the country. You have issues like this that I think the American people should really know about. The nuclear industry, which includes both nuclear weapons and nuclear power plants, has received and is on the budgeting table to receive $36 billion worth of subsidies. We, the people who are gathered here today, and the people in the Green Party say, why not have an equivalent amount, 36 billion, for renewable sources of energy, things like solar, wind, geothermal? But those lobbyists in Washington are busy working the legislators to meet the needs of their particular lobby, like the nuclear industry lobby, and not the needs of the people whose voices you hear here today. There's another thing I really want to get on the record, and that is that Duke University has done a study showing that recently the cost of solar energy has been cut in half. I don't think the general public realizes that. And as the marketing of solar products continues, that the price will decrease even more dramatically. That's really the main points that I wanted to make. So thank you for that brief interview.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a teacher, so I'm accustomed to raising the hand. I'd like to know how many people here have seen the film Fatal Fallout. Raise your hand. I would like to explain, I saw this film in New York City, and I just want to explain how it relates to what's going on here today. The film is an award-winning film, first of all, I should say. The director, Gary Null, in an international film festival, won an award against a lot of competition. in the movie, Indian Point would happen if an accident occurred at Indian Point. So the map of New York City shows the total disaster that would occur. Rain will fall out, the film, you guys on the road. Everybody should see it.